Naga come in melee is a more recent addition. And here we go into our ban phase straight away. It's worth noting that of all of the maps Virtus Pro have dropped, about 80% are on domination. So this is statistically their weakest mode.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was at Royal Palace, but Royal Palace has, unfortunately for Rad Esports, been removed from the pool. So it's going to be Burnin T'Challa that we're going to be starting off with, as both teams immediately erase Magneto's presence. Rad, being on the attacker side, have the opportunity to instantly grab themselves up one of those Vanguards, and they will be able to swipe the Emma Frost before Virtus Pro can take it out of play. Virtus Pro will instead take the Luna away from Rad's backline before confirming that they themselves will also get to mirror the Emma.
All right, probably going to see a mirror ban on the Luna Loki here. We might even see the taking away of something like a Cloak and Dagger as well to try and create one of those awkward strategist compositions again, like we saw in our previous Krakoa between our last two teams. Luna going to be the next choice. Of course, I believe these two bans are simultaneous. And yet that is going to be mirrored bans on the Loki and the Luna. It's just too powerful a backline. You cannot be allowed to have two Fate of both worlds. We simply refuse.
Oh, this is smart from Virtus Pro. I was going to say, I don't see Rad taking out the CD. I think they would rather take out the Invis Woman, because Phi's Torch has been absolutely heated. And unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do that. So what they are going to do is remove the Psylocke from Sparker and save the Punisher before Virtus Pro can eliminate that one with their last ban slot. Looks like Virtus Pro might be targeting a Wolverine, so I can sense a Nevix Groot pick coming out in the near future.
Yeah, Nevix's Groot is also a little bit of an interesting pickup, because early in the game's life cycle, when Groot was by far and away probably the greatest Vanguard alongside Doctor Strange, we saw Nevix play a bunch of Groot, and then Groot became the permaban for Virtus Pro. They just permabanned it out first in any matchup they were in on the old ban system so that neither team could play it. But we knew that Nevix had it in their back pocket. Nevix was instead focusing in on playing the Thing. But now, Virtus Pro, they're allowing the Groot to go through in a lot of these instances, thinking that they have the coordination as a team to really get more value out of those Thornlash and Ironwood walls.
Yeah, and we can also see another reason for why Sparker's Psylocke was target banned out. It looks like Rad are wanting to engineer a Storm pick coming on through. Storm can do incredibly well, especially if you win that first fight. You have a lot of potential to come through with tempo change-ups, with the Goddess boost being on one side. But it does fall apart beneath things like the Wolverine and also the Punisher. So if Rad lose this first fight, they're likely going to be swapping, trust me, off to a different duelist.
Getting that early damage boost can be so important for just getting that small breakpoint, finding a knockout when it matters the most, and setting Melio up in a position to dominate.
Wait, the Jeff is out. The Jeff is committed. It's not bubbles out of spawn. It's real.
Hold up. We've been watching the Envy VODs. Okay. This is Triple Strategist. And trust me, of course, usually the Vanguard player usually plays like a Magneto or something. Instead, going to be coming out on the Storm, just emerging with the speed boost. They're trying to move in quickly. Sparker, of course, going to be able to at least tank a little bit of this moving forward. Rajara has already used up the diamond form. That's a lot of space gains here by Rad, but also many resources have already been applied. And now Fire's got themselves an off angle. Oh, bye-bye to your Vanguard. Rajara has taken all the way to the nether plane, and Cyber managed to pick that one up with a Psionic Vortex. Now it's time for Sparker to move forward. The feast has began, and the Canadian, oh boy, does he love to munch through squishies. Rad, though, with the speed boost of the Storm, will get out unscathed.
Yeah, but Virtus Pro just shut the point down entirely. Pyro Prison from Phi, walls out from Nevix. Rad were just regrouping around that corner, waiting for all of their cooldowns to burst out, and Virtus Pro slammed the door directly in their faces. And off of the back of that, VP have been able to pick up first point percentage. However, Rad did not lose players, so they're still going to be running their Storm, trying to find an opening with that Goddess boost, coming on through, closing up the distance. This time playing on the outside of the point so that they can't get shut down immediately by the Groot. As Sparker's HP is falling lower and lower, with this Wolverine getting scout checked out. But that means that Phi is also going to be finding far more value.
Feral Leap, unable to connect. Eternal Bond comes on out, heading right into the backline. Julius feeling aggressive, like they're going to send out a Terror Cape here. Multiple players taking more damage, but they are going to be reinforced by the Soul Resurgence. But Jeff Nado almost ready to go. Naga needs to get their ultimate right now. They're falling so low. Trust Me is going to be having an unassisted Omega Hurricane. And now Naga and Trust Me are going to be out of sync. Naga might have to hold this ultimate forever if they want to try and combine them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Naga make an absolute fully fledged swap here, given that they were just stunned out of that fight. Great risk management by Virtus.pro.
Yeah, Trust Me did go back to the respawn point, but is actually going to be sticking with that Storm for now. That's really unfortunate for Rad. Virtus.pro have kept the Emma alive. Rajaro only now gets taken down, and that is a big stagger, which is going to domino impact into the resources that Rad have for this next and last fight. We're about to hit into overtime, and Rad are forced to go in with the teleport play from the Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Trust Me, having just used their ultimate, will be the designated teleport to send everyone through. That means no more aura when it comes to those increased damage thresholds. Grabbing Logan back, but he's already so far away that it's not really that much of an issue. Supernova called out by Fire, but taken down by Trust Me at just the correct time. Fate doing their best to just duel away Fincy, and with the impressive burst of that engagement, Rad finally find themselves in control.
Yeah, Virtus.pro used the Supernova without Nevix's Strangling Prison. Silver lining for them, they'll have those ultimates into this next engagement, and Rad, who had no choice but to hit every single ultimate for fear of losing the round regardless, have nothing in the bank. Right now, they're relying on just the pressure coming through from Melio on this turret to put a pause on Virtus.pro, but they're just going to rotate underneath and go directly to point and take a brawl fight that Rad just can't afford to take.
Over Sparker, he's a hunting, wants Trust Me, so Fincy using the floating of the map to actually get a crazy angle off the back of a Sonic Seduction. That allowed Melee to fall through the cracks, but already Virtus.pro have taken multiple casualties, but Truder and Sparker falling on down. Still, Saipe believes that it's winnable. A carbon kick into the wall and a solo ultimate from the Groot onto the Mantis. That's not very Guardian friendly, is it? Trust Me, ready to roll on down with an Eye of Agamotto if only it's going to be necessary. Feels like maybe Rad have enough staying power on the point right now. Rolling forward, pushed on back. Saipe is so quick on the trigger when it comes to the force physics, but Fincy was laid out with no protection, with everyone else focusing on shutting down Trust Me. So you've lost your Emma Frost, your front line starting to collapse, and Nevix only can escort everybody out.
Melio is going to be
Spider-Man?
That is a Spider-Man. Level 1 Kirk comes back on the Spider-Man to be able to help out his team in terms of numbers so that Rad don't have to overcome the absence by burning an ultimate. As the last stand comes on through from Sparker, Fate manages to get the Eternal Bond off though, and no one falls on the side of Rad. In fact, all of the picks are coming through favored for them.
Level 1 Croak finding a spectacular spinning uppercut onto Fincy. Now that is a cursed frag feed if ever I have seen one. And Naga can now try and eat up Fincy if they try and cast the portal here using that It's Jeff. Are you going to try and get the interrupt here, or is Naga just going to eat them as they come on out is the question. Just in time, coming out onto the point. Naga's already found Fi, turning off the flames of the Human Torch, getting their own fire brigade going. Fincy is forced off the point. Reds! Oh, what a turnaround.
Okay, Jeff is literally just being used as a fire extinguisher right now. The joyful splash is anything but for Fight to have to deal with. The fact that it now does damage to enemies as well as heal allies literally just turns him into a fire hydrant against the torch whenever fire is in the air.
Yeah. Just that continuous tracking damage.
30 seconds before you attack.
He managed to turn him off as well during the supernova. He gets the torch mid-supernova, which is the thing that Virtus.pro were relying on holding down the point. And then Saipe is gonna go onto the shaft themselves just for the speed bubbles, but the damage has been done. Rad have been able to take the first round as Virtus.pro have to try and find some way around dealing with a Jeff and a Storm that are desynced in their ultimate cycle, but during the neutral, this Jeff is just such a problem for the torch to have to deal with, and like it's staying.
It's remaining. They're going for an early mugging here. Maybe try and grab someone through the portal. Be careful where you step, because there's a shotgun waiting for you and a final judgment as well. The damage might well be overbearing here for Melee, but they're stepping into unknown territory. Ironwood walls continuously put in the way to try and shut down these miniguns, and Virtus Pro decide that discretion is the better part of valor as they make their way to a point instead of fighting that.
Yeah, no final judgment, but the final play might come from Virtus Pro's side, strangling Prison into Dridro's Terror Cape, and that is going to be a terrifying prospect for Rad to have to face. All of the picks coming through on Virtus Pro's side.
Oh no, and now Crook's being held hostage. It's eventually going to fall to the burning, I'm sure. No, get it,
No.
burning, Crook.
No.
You gotta cook. We have to cook, Crook.
No worries. I've got your back.
They finally take him down after Nevix uses the Groot walls to block the Mantis from trying to find the edge of the map. But I mean, that's brought an extra 10% of point control, and Fire gets to play above these doorways, utilizing the AoE hits of that torch to get the accuracy marker to figure out where Rad are going to be rotating from. We are about to have the Sharknado. The Jeffnado is going to come into the mix. They weren't able to find space to utilize both of them at the same time. This time, can Virtus Pro have the focus fire to shut the Jeff down?
Rad are jumping at the bit, but we don't want to use too many resources too early, so we just open with the Eternal Bond, seeing how Virtus Pro respond to this initial aggression. You've got to be careful to stay in the nice territory, though, otherwise this might be turned off. Remember, if you're in the Sonic Seduction, you can't activate your ultimate, and that might stop Naga from trying to contribute to this one. A quick fade away, and Jeff comes in to try and make it work. CC Immune is Sparker, desperately needs to be pocketed as they try to carve through the tornado that's been laying down on top of them. Trust me, grabs a pair. A Supernova attempt to try and clutch here from Fi. Saipe's still going when it comes to that healing, but Pocket's strong. Saipe's getting the damage done. Naga is going to have so much trouble standing up to the fire and the flames, but in the end, they will still carry on healing.
This Jeff is still around, but unfortunately, Rad, despite the ultimates, despite the value that they were finding with them, not able to unseat the torch above them. In its final fight territory, Dridro is still holding onto the Eternal Bond. Navix is going to have a strangling prison too to try and shut down Melio's final judgment coming out.
Welcome to the hot zone, proclaims Fi, as most of the point is wreathed in flames from the human torch. Out goes the ultimate from Nevix, and here's an attempt to try and turn it around. Sparker and Fi, both the duelists stunned by Rajaro, and Melio on the other side can't quite convert using the final judgment. And running out of time, level 1 Crook's already been slammed down upon by Fi, and well, Fi is taking everything he wants and a touch more. It's an all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-frag buffet for the human torch, and boy is he cooking.
Big knockback comes through from Saipe off of the back of that Eye of Agamotto. They almost, with the Maelstrom, found the damage to translate into picks off of the back of that CC, but Saipe with the Force Physics actually manages to punt the Doctor Strange far enough away from the stunned out players that it's not able to connect, and Virtus Pro will be able to take a dominant 100-0. Finally, it looks like they've been able to see out the shenanigans of the Shark, and Rad are going to be going over to the Psylocke and the Punisher lineup instead.
All right, a little bit more pressure around the periphery, realizing that VP not crumbling under the pressure of the Jeffnado with good spacing, and Sparker's ult to respond to it, even getting 2 frags. The damage was done elsewhere, and the team couldn't sustain in the fight thereafter. As you can see, both of these teams doing those min-max rollouts. Make sure you do that in your comp games.
Naga on the Psylocke, though, is going to get weakened by the absence of the Luna, but he should still be able to keep up the pressure on this torch as Sparker's turret is heating up. The amount of pressure it's outputting forces the Eternal Bond from Rad as they have to stampede directly to the Punisher's position. The Terror Cape comes on through, and it shuts down the final judgment before Sparker can start to tear through.
Oh, Sparker, it was such a risk to try and pop that Q, and in the end, the risk didn't work out. Great target focus from Rad, and it seems like when Rad control the initiative, they get that Terror Cape and they manage to pick off a vulnerable member of Virtus Pro. That's when we start to take these fights away.
Yeah, but it did cost them the Eternal Bond. They will have the Invis boundary coming on through from level 1 Crook to be able to utilize in case Finzi and Fi try and combine the Psionic Seduction into that Supernova. As Fi is getting all of the resources right now, trying to put the pressure onto the Vanguard, pulls out the Invis boundary. There it goes, bailing out Rajaro on the Ammo, who almost went down.
Oh, 2 hits off the wing shurikens in a strangling prison. It was just too easy for Naga. Virtus.pro invested pretty heavily in that fight as well.
Yeah, Dreadrow is going to have Eternal Bond, but like you said, Virtus.pro used 2 ultimates, both the Psionic Seduction and the Supernova. Naga now behind enemy lines on this. Psylocke is potentially about to get picked. Good force physics comes through from Saipe to guarantee that the Psylocke is grabbed back. And Rad now are going to have to make up for the absence of a duelist with the ultimate of another. Melio's final judgment is zoning.
He's walking. He's dog walking around. He's walking intimidatingly, but now it's over. And Drew just going to roll on towards the point now with the Eternal Bond, making sure there's territory in his path for the rest of the team to follow up upon. Moving in with the Terror Cape, finds Melio in a turret. And right now, Rajaro's under significant pressure. Most of Rad have already fallen off the map with you. Find out what's at the bottom of the waterfall. I promise you it's not a pot of gold. Virtus.pro, turn it around.
Navix is going to have the Strangling Prison too. Rats, though, were able to accrue 73% of the point, so they're well within one more fight to be able to pick up this round. They can choose their moment. They have a little bit of time to force Virtus.pro into having to overcommit ultimates off of the point percentage disparity, but that window can close very, very quickly if they're not too careful.
Virtus.pro liable to start feeling the heat. And they still don't control the high ground at this point. Playing defensively on the low, trying to force Rad over to them. Out comes the Sonic Seduction to open on up. There's going to be an Aegis in the way to stop Finzi from getting mind control, but it gets quickly broken. And the target focus is good for now. Fate manages to move around using the Eternal Bond. Spark has already picked up 2 inside the invisible boundary. They barely know where the threat's coming from, but Virtus.pro needs to stay on the point at all times. It's almost fully capped here by Rad. Still, they spill onto it, and they overwhelm Rad Esports, who don't have the meat to make it work.
True, but look at the commitment that Virtus.pro had to use in comparison to Rad's ultimate economy. They're still going to have win conditions, tools to come into this next fight where Virtus.pro need a pick and fast, or they need to be able to delay that fight, and that job is going to fall to Fi on this torch to try and stall out the approach coming on through from the other side. Finzi too has been able to take control of this high ground and try and force Rad to part with an ultimate before the fight moves on, but to that point, Strangling Prison comes on through, but there's no pick off of the back of it. Nevix with the Groot Wall is able to blanket out the damage, but now the dance of the butterflies from Naga manages to cut Virtus.pro entirely in half.
The value is strong, the dashes are good, and Rad managed to get exactly what they needed. What a weave from Trust Me. So ambitious with the ultimate, but it pays dividends if it's going to come down to one final fight.
Melio is going to have the final judgment. Dridro, the Eternal Bond. It's going to be a matter of those 2 ultimates clashing. If Rad can find an early pick onto this CD before the fight begins, it's going to have to be the Veil of Light Force coming on through from Dridro, making sure that Fi lives. They need the Torch's continuous pressure in this coming fight.
Eternal Bond used, and it's going to be backed on up here, or rather countered out by Melio, who doesn't have that much healing up on the top 5, trying to bring it to them, but it's too dangerous to try and take this one in the air. You need to stay within the nice territory. The purple sustains us. The purple is good. Naga chased down, but gets out with just a sliver of HP, and the healing is delivered. And now Virtus.pro, they have to stay on the point. Finzi, too nervous about using the Sonic Seduction for just a moment. There are so many walls in the way. Eternal Bond into the backline. Finz feeling ambitious as they release the Terror Cape, but it misses Sparker, the primary target. Trust me's fallen to the damage. Naga can't escape, and while there is a distant turret, it's going to be matched here by Sparker inside the invisible boundary. Priority target onto Crook, and Fi's fallen elsewhere. An all-out Vanguard battle on the point, yes, but when the Punishers start to lay down this fire, it's going to be more healing that wins out the day. In Virtus.pro, they have the sustainability as Trust Me starts to pull back.
One more fight. Rad still have ultimates. Virtus.pro so close to that Eternal Bond, but potentially so far away from the teleport though, off of the force physics from Saipe.
big seduction coming on through. Dredro just about dodges away at the last moment. Eternal Bond now deployed by Dredro. Nevix gets seduced, but the feminine wilds aren't enough to take them on out. Spark of a carry's gone for now. They need to get rid of the invisible woman. Cypher's already down as well. Dredro's going to be the only healing available, and they've been stunned up elsewhere. Falling down. Virtus Pro are going to have to do it with no healing at all, and they're going to try and do it with a supernova. Fi's turning up the heat, and can you stay in the kitchen is the question. Rajaro with the diamond form is doing their best, and Naga's hanging around the point as well. The Shinobi's arrived, but so too have the reinforcements. Sparker coming on back with the portal, but you got to face up against the Punisher now, and the damage from Melio is overwhelming. A bullet storm, it's a diet of lead for Virtus Pro, and everyone knows the Bears are too allergic to that one. Fincy makes their way onto a point of Carbon Crush, but Naga's there with the punish and domination. Our first map for the first time in months. Rad have managed to take one off Virtus Pro.
Virtus Pro try every trick in the book to win that overtime fight. They come in with the latest range portal, they swap in the rocket so when 5 falls, he gets brought back with the BRB station, but it's not enough. It's individual plays from Virtus Pro falling, conga lining one by one individually onto that point, and in comparison, Rad's players, they're established, they're regrouped, they're set up, anchored around all angles of that point. Melio on that Punisher would not have been looked at, as everyone from VP is forced to just keep that body on the point, and it's their undoing. Rad finally break tradition and take a map against VP in an official capacity, and Virtus Pro now begin game number 2 at the disadvantage.
That's the thing about a best of 3. You've only got one mulligan, and I do not feel good for our replay ops trying to decide which highlights make the grade from this map, because there were so bloody many. Nevix's counterattack here with a Strangling Prison certainly was strong, but we've got to give so much, like Naga, absolute monster on the Psylocke, finding that backline again and again, and the Jeff combinations went so well. A big clutch to force Vinci off the point on the Intergalactic Spaceport as well.
Yeah, and they did so much too in terms of getting to use the Terror Cape from Fate whenever Sparker used his final judgment. It started off with Virtus Pro not wanting to invest the Invis Boundary when Sparker would be using his final judgment. They thought that they would be able to keep up the Punisher with just base utility cooldowns alone from the strategists, but we saw that the Terror Cape accuracy, if it hit the Punisher as Sparker was pulling out the big guns, he would get taken down immediately. So a switch got flipped 3/4 of the way through that third round, where Sparker, every single time he ults, gets the Invis Boundary, and it works out. He's able to remain alive in the middle of it, but it burns Virtus Pro's overall ultimate economy in the long run. You can see here, actually, this is the moment. Saipe saw Sparker's health bar going lower and lower and lower, understands, no, we have to burn Invis Boundary. Now, we can't allow Team Rad to take this point, to take this fight, and it just left them so ill-equipped in the fight that came afterwards, where they've still got to accrue a further 11%.
That's the thing about a win streak, Mox. It'll have to end one day. And perhaps that day could be today. Instead of 25-0, we could see 24-1. Rad are on the precipice of doing the unfathomable right now. They have to just lock in and secure this. Virtus Pro are going to have to adjust their draft. Do you get rid of Naga's Psylocke? Do you need to address that threat right now? Are you happy to continue taking the Punisher versus Punisher? It feels like Spark is getting the better of Melio sometimes, but the creativity and the consistency from Brad have just been so overwhelming. Virtus Pro have some soul searching to do. Brad need to lock in. It's time for a break. We'll see you on the other side. Maybe next time someone in your comp game says, just one life on Spider-Man, bro, you should approach it a little bit differently, especially if they're called Level 1 Crook. Swapping over to the Spider-Man last moments of Intergalactic Spaceport seems to have been a little bit of a trick shot that worked out against VP.
I mean, not just that. We do have to talk about the bag of tricks that was the Jeff the Land Shark coming into play. We got to see the team up of the Storm and the Jeff, and I mean, it wasn't really the team up that was the thing that allowed Rad to cross the finish line. It was just Jeff in the neutral being able to put pressure onto the torch in round 1 of Stellar Spaceport, and then also giving Virtus Pro that moment of pause where they have to go back to the drawing board, adjust to the composition that they're facing, which they probably did not expect to face that allowed Rad that little bit of extra lead in terms of picking up point percentage. And sometimes in domination, that little bit of lead in point percentage is all you need to turn the tables on your opponent, especially when it forces them to overcommit and invest in those ultimates. And Rad, they just played the waiting game. They waited it out. As we've got a change up of the food chain. Rad apparently are the polar bears now.
You know what? That's the deal, right? We beat you, we get your logo. I dig it. Let's get into our ban phase. We've got our special advanced tournament bans, Moxie, where it allows you to really craft what the enemy can play and what they can't.
There's the Virtus Pro picking the attacker side that we expected to see coming on through. Both teams taking out Mag immediately, but Virtus Pro on the attacker side get that immediate protection slot so that they can save the Emma, safely guard against any bans that could come her way, as Rad instead are going to target out the Luna once more before they now get to opt to save the Emma of their own.
Worth noting as well, Virtus Pro adding yet another domination loss to their tally of lost maps. Feels like we've seen teams like this before in games where there's a certain map type that just might not be their best. Virtus Pro generally have close to 100% win rate on both Convergence and Convoy. Hall of Dajalia is, of course, Virtus Pro's own pick, so they'll likely have some pocket strats coming out for this one. Of course, remember, in this ban phase, not like your comp games, the bans you choose are for the other team, not yours.
One-sided. So if you're able to ban your opponent out of one hero and then block the ban of that same hero, you are the only one who are going to be able to play that one. As Virtus Pro no doubt going to be putting Nevix back onto that group, want to remove the Lumberjack option that is the Wolverine. Rad, ooh, spicy, removing the cloak and dagger. So there's no Terror Cape shenanigans, no additional breakpoints being shepherded forward off of the back of that 28% increased vulnerability. I actually really like this because even though both teams are going to have the Punisher, Rad are going to have the means of bursting one down, and Virtus Pro are going to have a much harder time of taking Malio out mid-ultimate.
Well, also, here's the thing, like, with the Punisher on deck, you can kind of soft force out the Punisher by, like, saying, well, we're going to make you play triple res. Because the Punisher doesn't get the Adam Warlock team up. And the most prevalent option for some of these old head teams, when a lot of the classic strategist options are gone, is to go over to something like a Mantis with an Adam and a tertiary strategist like an Invisible Woman or a Rocket Raccoon that will do a large bulk of the overall healing output. But that only leaves space for one duelist, and that's generally going to be Star-Lord.
Yeah, but that Starlord is going to be hindered by the lack of Magneto in this lobby, which means no Bulwark for that Starlord to be able to spin on through, as you only get iframes on the Starlord on your right click on your Stellar Shift. So we're going to be following along with Fi, who is going to be lacking a Magneto bubble and also lacking a Luna pocket at the same time. This is a very squishy Starlord.
Hold up, second Venom appearance today after Andrew's absolute domination on Krakoa going up against Berber Patapim. Trust me, maybe has the same reader. Never Trust Me is a dedicated Venom enjoyer, and Naga is going to be matching Starlord versus Starlord, of course.
Rad going to be on the defense right now. Naga not wanting to find an opening just yet. Sleep comes out onto Trust Me. That Venom instantly going to have to try and get out. The shield comes on through, but the force physics grabs him back, and Trust Me is taken down.
Sniper so quick on Rodrigo when it comes to these. And now Naga is going to have quite a good position to try and roll in with the Blast Barrage E if they do desire. Of course, without the shielding coming through from a Magneto, due to him being banned, it's a little bit more risky to try and make that one work. Still, the risk pays off. Jujo's falling down. Melio on the other side has already fallen in their own right, but there's self-reses for many. It's a little bit of a mess in the frag feed right now, but it feels like Rad have managed to claim a huge amount of space here as Trust Me returns with a Doctor Strange portal. Yeah,
they're immediately going to have numbers advantage coming on through. Potentially they're going to be able to chunk Finzi down as well. Dridro is going to fall first, followed by the Emma Frost, and Rad holding firm will be able to hold on to this point. Not a single tick of percentage given to Virtus Pro's side, but Galactic Legend is going to be coming on up. Naga has already got his, and now we're going to be feeling the lack of Magneto. No longer is it Meteor M to be able to shut down the Starlord ultimate. It's going to have to be a strategist instead, and Cipe with that Invis boundary is going to be likely the target of focus.
Might only be the case. Trust me, for now, just holding back, not wanting to overextend too much into a place where the group could indeed wall them in. That's a double wall coming up behind, trust me. Just going to use the Maelstrom there to get rid of the anti-heal debuff and wait for the next chance to do a large amount of damage. The Agamotto is ready to go, and not too many stuns are going to be proffered up against it. Just got to worry about the pushback coming back from Saipe. If you put your back to a wall, that could be everything. Moving forward with the Soul Resurgence dragged on in. That's going to be 3 off the back of the Eye of Agamotto. One's already fallen down. Quick resurrection here from Spark, and wants to keep this fight going. And of course, inside the invisible boundary as well. So there's lots of damage, lots of healing to be done. Fate's already been resurrected by Melio as well, making sure that that cloak and dagger is still relevant in the fight. Naga instantly loses the Galactic Legend, and even through the Eternal Bomb, the damage might prove overwhelming for the Rad defense. Nevix has fallen on down, and Virtus Pro, they're running low on time.
Yeah, Fi is trying to find any weakening trade to just take down one of the defensive members so that Virtus Pro can wrangle together a fast push with a numbers advantage, but it is not to be. Rad do not drop a single player, and Virtus Pro now, no ultimates, 1 minute left on the time bank, yet to be able to break through. They're going to have to contest the Psionic Seduction coming out from Rajara. There's going to be another Eye of Agamotto propped up from Trust Me, and at the moment, Virtus Pro have no opening angle as they have to deal with Naga on the side lane. Is constantly pressuring. The Maelstrom of Madness comes through from Trust Me. Found with those blasters coming out from the Starlord. Nevix goes down.
It's going to be just one fight. Druidro staggered as well. The Soul Resurgence almost there. Yes, but you're still going to have to compete with the Eye of Agamotto in the midst of all of this. For Virtus Pro, it's do or die.
Tipe is going to have Invis Boundary, but is the Invis Woman going to have the opportunity to use it if you get caught in the crossfire of Eye of Agamotto? It is all over for Virtus Pro.
So few options remaining. The Eye of Agamotto in the back pocket. Drew just already popped the Soul Resurgence. They're getting aggressive to try and deal with this one. The Eye of Agamotto pushed back from Trust Me. Yeah, Fi gets stunned. There's plenty of healing there. Rajara manages to find it. The Diamond Fists break the flesh of the Polar Bear. Saipe brings up the invisible boundary, but it's too far off the point, and they need to keep conversing. They need to keep contesting. Naga's shutting them down as they go. The Blaster Barrage is so much damage. Virtus Pro, the Polar Bears, they can't touch.
Full hold. It's full hold. It's either Rad Esports make history and defeat Virtus Pro, or we go another map, and it's the Drawn Hall of Dejalia. This moment is all to play for. Virtus Pro have never been in this position. They've dropped maps in the past, but they've never been on the precipice of dropping 2 in a row.
It's draw or die, Mox. We're in the upper bracket. Virtus, this would not be the end of their tournament run. Could you imagine if their Ignite ended like this? my goats? Never. But Rad. I mean, Enzo just said in an interview not 20 minutes ago
that he would be
if anyone
very
else
angry.
beats Virtus Pro first, I'll be very angry. I expect all caps rage in the chat. Rad have this series in the palm of their hand. All they need to do is reach out and grasp it.
Nevix is going to be starting on the group. Finzi the ammo. It's all hands on deck. Virtus Pro cannot afford to give over a single tick of point percentage to Rad. They're going to have a permanent presence on this point, which is then going to eat into the space that they have to play their strategists out of the space. Rad, they just need one tick. They're going to be rolling out not on triple res. It's Punisher, it's Psylocke, it's heroes designed to isolate, to push Virtus Pro, to divert the attention so that Rad can start enabling a core of their composition to anchor that point instead.
Control the space with a turret already. We see Nevix pulled on in. Thorn Lash Walls exchange as the damage starts to go forth. Rajara looking for a Carbon Crush, instead used it to disengage as there was so much pressure going the way of Trust Me. There's more than enough healing to try and keep that group up in the midst of all of this. The Aegis used for protection, and the Thorn Lash Walls start to get the damage going. 5 feeling a little bit nasty on the edge here, as guess what? Naga's back on the Psylocke. Trust Me's already fallen on down. So for Rad, this one might just be farm for ult charge. Get out some of these resurrections. They are so important to take away.
Yeah, not only were they able to take away revives coming through from the Mantis, they took away the Soul Bomb as well. In the midst of that first engagement brawl from Trust Me, Virtus.pro felt so uncomfortable with the isolations that the Groot wall was finding, and now Virtus.pro with the triple res are down so much of their sustainability options. Naga now chooses to flank, potentially wants to hit the high ground. Sleepe has been able to build an invis boundary. This one is going to be coming out onto the point, but if he invests it early to match Fate's eternal bond, Melio and Naga get a free pass of an ultimate.
Spark has got the read. Naga sees the juicy innards, wants to feast. It's a huge strangling prison. 4 players are in, and Spark is the first one to go down. Might be able to self-resurrect in the midst of all of this and try and bring back some of these players. It is going to be on the docket, yes, but inside this invisible boundary, Fi needs to get value out of this Galactic Legend. Naga's up close, but Terra Cape was there. And guess what? Finzy's down too. Sparker falls a second time. 24-0 becomes 24-1.
Run, do it! Virtus.pro, for the first time in their Marvel Rivals esports career, experienced not just dropping a map, but dropping an entire series. Rad with the biggest upset that we have seen in the entirety of every single region in Ignite. Come through with the 2-0, the full hold into the first tick take against Virtus.pro. We are in uncharted territory.
I'm in all box. I'm stun locked. I've been flashbanged by a series.
You got hit by the Terror Cape.
What? I have been hit by the Terror Cape. Rads, they just... I mean, what a journey for this team. From being absolutely slam dunked, pantsed in MRC finals 4-0 to be the first team not only to take a series off of VP, but to do it in Ignite as well. The biggest tournament that we've ever had in Marvel Rivals. When the chips are down, Rad do not break under the pressure. And this was on the map pick of Virtus.pro as well. This is where they thought they had the best chance of winning. Unreal.
I mean, it was cloak and dagger difference. Straight up, it was cloak and dagger difference. Fate being able to throw out those Terror Capes and just hit Fi every single time he tried to go for those Galactic Legends, taking the Star-Lord down, especially on their attacking pushes. It forced Virtus.pro. They knew that the breakpoints would be so much more in favor of Rad to over-invest resources far sooner in the fight than they would so desire. And Rad did such a good job of baiting Virtus.pro into burning them early, understanding that they don't need to win the first fight. They just need to start burning away the resources, the revives, the soul bomb. Then they can come on through, win potentially the second, force the ultimate, build up into the wombo combos, have the strangling prison, utilize it on the corner of the point where everyone on the side of Virtus.pro are already starting to back away so that they don't go down prematurely either to the Psylocke or the Punisher, because VP, they thought they could come back. They thought that Galactic Legend coming through from Fi would be enough of a zoning tool, would find enough pick potential that it would be able to buy them the in even after Strangling Prison had been used. But it's Fate that comes on through, hits the Terror Cape dead on that Star-Lord, and immediately the blind comes out into the mix. Not just the 28% increased damage, but the Star-Lord is flying without auto-aim. Galactic Legend has no lock-on potential, and he just gets taken down instantaneously.
Crazy series from Fate, from all of Rad, to go up against Virtus.pro and hit them with a 2-0. I mean, that's crazy. Like, I don't know if I can enunciate properly. There are no words right now for the unbelievable upset that this is. I am in awe of the mythos of Rad right now. Like, Rad they must be on such a high, and well, we'll get to see it firsthand as we've got an interview ready for you. Let's welcome in Naga, the new best DPS in the world, the new best duelist in the world.
I don't know about that one, but hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Congratulations on a monumentous win. What were the team comms like the second that victory scream popped up?
There was quite some screaming, but there was this throughout the entire match, right? But at the end, it was just happiness, pure happiness. Yeah.
Absolute elation. Yeah, there it is. 24-1 is our graphic now, and the one team to make it. What's the strategy behind all of these strategist bans, Naga? Do you have some insight into that? Well, I guess I should open up with like, who does the banning strategy for your roster? Who's the brains behind that?
Oh, we have a lot of discussion about bans. We are all chipping in, and there's quite some heavy debates at times, but we in the end like figure out a general direction we all agree with, right? And it's also very team-based as well, with the last ban, but the first three are pretty much the same every time. I wouldn't credit one specific person, but there are some people that contribute more than others.
So whose idea was it to play the Jeff? Because we can now say that Virtus.pro lost to Jeff strats on that round of domination. How long has that strategy been cooking in the kitchen?
I think we have played it for like a few days at this point. It's one of the weapons we have to pull out. We like it. We had some struggle on it at first. Who played what heroes? You know, we were a little bit all over the place because you know you only play one tank. So like, what do we do with Trust Me at that point? You know, what hero would be make the most sense. But yeah, a few days of practice on that comp.
Well, now that you've beaten VP, I guess I have to ask for future competition purposes, are there any teams from other regions you'd like to beat down?
All of them. Like, but I personally like to beat like really like big brands. So GNG, Sentinels, 100 Thieves, Envy, you know, all of these teams. I want to beat the teams that are the best, right? So like whoever is the best at the time we get to face them is the one I want to beat the most.
Well, that's now kind of by definition you, because Virtus.pro were the best, and you've kind of taken that title away from them. You've shown that gods do indeed bleed, being the first team ever that finally were able to find that defeat. What does it mean? Because this has been an interaction, like your two teams have been at each other's throats since the beginning of Marvel Rivals Esports, right? We've seen you guys in the Invitational, in the Championship, even in Fight Night. So what does it mean being able to finally move past taking one map against them to getting the full win?
It means a lot because we have been honestly quite frustrated many of the times we played them, because not only did we lose, but we also just lost in such a fashion that we just knew that we were so far behind, right? And that's never fun because we want to be the best in Europe and we want to be the best in the world. So when you have someone that just constantly dominates you and you're not even like remotely close and you don't really get to scrim them that much, you know, to like learn from them, then it's like, it's so frustrating. So it means a lot that we have closed this gap, you know, and today we beat them, and we need to keep this upward trend, right? We need to keep pushing ourselves, even when we beat them, right? There's a lot of other good teams and they will come back stronger, right? Next time we face them, so you should never rest.
Moving on to your, rather digging into your point about like losing and feeling like you're so far behind Virtus.pro previously, how do you think your team has improved over the last few weeks? Have you been focusing on some specific areas of improvement?
I think the bans changed a bit. I think there's more variety now. You can set up the game differently, and we can cater more to our strengths now. And then we also have individually gotten a lot better over the past few months and weeks, I think. So this also matters. So both of these things in combination is definitely a big reason.
So
and more time together.
To dive further into that point about the bans, because obviously Virtus.pro losing that first round got to choose the side, got probably the better side of those bans, right, where they were able to come in through with that attacker's side. How did you then approach having to come out with the defender's side bans, where you have to deal with Virtus.pro getting the first save and then also being able to just entirely annihilate one of your roles with the triple ban out?
So Trust Me had seen that if we banned our Cloak, we would probably force them into either Ultron or Triple Res. So we then knew more or less what we would be facing. And then it's a lot easier to make a plan and stick to the plan and kind of prepare mentally and as a team for what is about to happen. Because this is probably one of the things that most teams struggle with, is that the new bans and the new meta is like all over the place. So you really have to adapt a lot on the spot, and even sometimes in scrims you won't be able to adapt in the span of 2 hours, right? You're just getting like constantly run over by something you just have no idea how to actually solve on the spot. So having that like certainty that they're gonna go in a different direction because of the bans we do makes it a lot easier to play, right? And then we can pick something we're confident with and actually play that matchup.
Well, my liege, you hold the crown for now. Do you have any message to the rest of the teams in EMEA, the viewers at home? What does the new king proclaim?
I don't want to be. I want to stay humble, you know. Like winning one match, winning one match is great. It's a good start, but they won. What was it? 24 matches in a row before us.
Official.
Yeah. So who am I to sit here after winning 2 in a row, right? And be like, yeah, come get us, you know? Like there's no point. We have to come back to us in a few weeks, you know, and then I can sit here and be a little bit more lighthearted about it.
Fair enough, my humble king. I will turn you into an absolute tyrant one day, but thank you so much for coming to talk to us, Naga. Congratulations on a generational win here in EMEA. Oh my goodness, now all the power rankings are broken, Mox. Everything's in shambles. No one knows what's happening anymore. Virtus.pro are a 1-on-1 team. Rad are on top. We got ourselves a new hierarchy here, but maybe for Virtus.pro there's like a silver lining, like the pressure's off now. A little bit. I mean, the pressure's on if you're in the elimination bracket, and if you lose the series, well, your ignite is over for a while. But you're no longer trying to defend a completely unbeaten streak, which can weigh on someone a little bit, you know? Just like that continuous, the generational building of tension on like, who's gonna beat them? Everyone's gunning.
Yeah, I mean, everyone had a target directed wholly at Virtus.pro's backs, not just the teams in EMEA, but all of the teams in all of the regions. And that target has finally been struck. Rad, there it is. It is cemented now within history, and this moment will go down in just that. Rad with the 2-0 win against Virtus.pro will continue in the upper bracket for Group B. We'll be finding out whether they'll be facing down Peps or Insomnia a little bit later